And we are live. Welcome back to the TRU-U podcast for the 73rd time. We are excited to have Miss Christine Howard on with us today as our guest. She is a leadership, lifestyle mentor, speaker, and author. Her passion for living a radiant and fulfilling life is contagious. Fueled by her own transformational heartbreak, she inspires women to take up a new path for living, leading, and achieving. Teaching the art of success without sacrifice, Christine guides women to realize their highest personal and professional aspirations through the path that she calls radiant achievement, which is also the topic of her best-selling book and mobile app. To learn more about Christine and her work, you can visit christinemariehoward.com. And I am excited to have you on today, Christine. Thank you for joining us.
You are so welcome, Ethan. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, and this is our first time really having a chance to chat outside of email. I love your Instagram page and the content that you put out there, and I've got a lot of questions. I'm really curious about your journey. I know we talked briefly beforehand about it, but could you share with our audience for context really what brought you to this work?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the reason why I said yes to your show is because it is centered on one of the key themes of my life and what I do with my clients, and that is all about being true to yourself.
Yep.
And a big part of my story was that I wasn't true to myself. Or at least not in its entirety. I'd been a coach for many years. However, I was really balancing these roles of motherhood, being a wife, trying to take care of everybody else, and I kept putting myself to the bottom and really denying those things that were calling to me at a deeper level. And this journey went on for several years until the universe woke me up, thank goodness, with a couple major events in my life. First was breast cancer diagnosis. And thank goodness it was a wake up call and not life threatening. And I was able to journey and heal. And then a divorce of a 20 plus year marriage. But both of those, it's not so much that those happened to me, it's what those events then allowed me to do, which was to really reconnect with myself and I like to say in the story when I share this is I turned over all these rocks of my life and I really wanted to understand how did I get here? And then beyond that, it was a journey of healing my heart, healing where I had let myself down, where I had denied myself, and then it was this new path of how do I want to live from here going forward? And
Mm.
I vividly remember a day, Ethan, where I have this big sword from a competition I was in years ago, and I literally put this sword in the ground, and I said, "Never again am I going to deny the callings of my soul." I
Wow.
so saw and felt the impact of denying me, of denying the things that were calling to me, denying my desires,
Yeah.
denying my essence. So since then, my life has I've turned 180 degrees, I like to say, and really I did for myself pick up a new path, and that's this path I call radiant achievement. And I let go of so many old stories and baggage and beliefs that were just not true. That a lot of it
Yeah.
was conditioning, and I started consciously creating new beliefs and patterns and habits for myself.
Incredible. I find it really fascinating. I find it really fascinating whenever I hear anybody's story, and yours stands out, like when you went through those life-changing traumatic events, and that's where the shift happened. And I'm curious, even starting there, like when you talk about reconnecting and understanding yourself, what happens in those events? Like, what do you think takes place?
Yeah. Well, for me, what took place in a big way was I started to listen.
Mm.
And I start with that. What I listened to was the inner wisdom. I listened to my intuition. You can call it whatever you want, your inner voice. Because my thing was, Ethan, and I think this is so many people, we're conditioned to live in our head. And it's,
Mhm,
from the neck up is where we're living. And so my
mhm,
journey of reconnecting was to get still and start to
mhm,
listen for whatever came up, and then be curious about it. In many cases, like, curious, where did that belief come from? Is that really true what I think about myself? And then, you know, l- start to listen again at what is the truth here, because the truth will start to come through if you sit long enough.
yeah, that to me, that reminds me of heart energy, like receiving and like all of the form of communication and receiving that happens outside. Because I know I've been a head guy before, and in therapy, it's helped me out a lot to slow down and to feel. And
Yeah,
and my therapist oftentimes talks a lot about how it's really our behaviors around safety in our body. We want to feel safe.
absolutely. Yeah,
Do you have
safety
anything to
was a
say?
big thing. Yes, definitely. I definitely did not feel safe. There were years that I later realized, for years I was living in fight or flight mode, which was, I know, for me, a big part of what created the dis-ease in my body that ultimately manifested in cancer, along with other factors. But
Mhm.
the part of that journey for me too, just like you, was really reconnecting with my body, and not just listening for the wisdom to come up, but asking my body, what are you feeling and what do you need?
Mm.
And that body wisdom is so strong. So when I started listening to it and honoring it, my life began. That was the beginning of one of the shifts in my life, just owning that, what my body was wanting and needing, or feeling and needing.
I love it. Would you say that's the true to yourself? Like what all goes into your version of true to yourself in your work?
Yeah. Yeah. So the true to yourself is definitely, I'd say it is multi-layered. It starts with that inner listening. So it's listening for the intuitive hits that we get. And everybody
Mhm.
I believe, experiences their intuition in different ways. I can sit and get into quiet stillness and I start hearing things. Sometimes I get images, but mostly it's hearing things. And so that's the first part of it, and then really the second part is going back to the body, and if I'm all tense and feeling anxiety, pay attention, for me to stop and pay attention to that. That's information. Our bodies are
Mhm.
giving us information all the time. So being true and listening to the messages and that I hear intuitively, and then being true to what my body is needing and wanting. So it's really a multifaceted thing, and they give me different things at different times.
Amazing. Amazing. And there is a process that I saw online. Oh, I love it. There's well, I was looking at your site, and what stood out to me, and maybe this is staying in alignment, maybe this is shifting, but manifesting circles. I was like, what is
Mhm.
that? I want to know
Yeah.
about that.
Sure, sure. Well, so part of this shift, right, for what then becomes possible when you start to listen is
Mhm.
you start to create your life in a different way. Instead of in your head trying to force and make things happen all the time, you begin to open up and allow yourself to be guided with that inner wisdom, with the intuitive guidance, with the, I believe, those synchronicities and the little serendipities the universe is giving us. So
Mm,
you have to be in your fully present and in your body. And there's different tools and techniques to help you really be in the space and place to have those, receive the messages and then to be able to act on them. So the circle is something I created with my retreat partner, because I also lead women's retreats, and we teach women some of these tools and techniques that allow us to be in our body and to manifest from a place that we're not taught, right? We're taught to make the list, to do it, to keep pushing. So we're elevating our approach in how we can flow through life and truly be co creators with the divine universe.
I love that, co-creators and, like, I find a lot of joy in, like, these retreats for myself, and there's something about this togetherness, having multiple people, obviously having a guide, but going through it together with others is, from my experience, powerful.
Absolutely.
Could you get,
I so agree. And
yeah, share more
go
about
ahead, sorry.
Radiant, share oh, sorry to jump, yeah,
Yeah,
share more about what you're up to with this retreats and the women and the impact and the flow, like, give us a
totally.
rundown.
Yes, absolutely. So everything is an evolution, I will say. If I look at my life since I had my wake up calls and then really started to shift how I was living my life, I was again listening to the messages and even how I set my goals. I don't it's not a lot of strategy, it's a lot of listening and connecting to what's really for me and who I am as a person. I get a lot of inspired ideas from the inside. And I don't there's and that's just how I've always been. So one of the things that was inspired an inspired idea I had 6 years, no, more than 6 years ago now. I think it was at least 7 years ago. I wrote down that I wanted to do women's retreats in Mexico. I had
Cool.
a timeshare that I was a part of, and I just when I was there felt this would be a beautiful place to do it. So I, I wasn't going to try and force it to make it happen. I didn't feel any energy at the time for it. So um, last year or 2 years ago, I had met with a coach, and she was very much into retreats. And I said, "This is starting to bubble up for me." And what I saw was really being able to take the power of the pause and stepping
Mhm.
outside of that day to day, right? And be able
Yes.
to, because it takes time to decompress.
I love the power
We
of the
can go to an
pause.
event. Right?
Uh,
Going to an event for a few hours is great, but if you truly want to shift the trajectory of your life, and really make a give it some rocket fuel, I like to say, is step away for a day, a couple days, 5 days. And so this, little by little, the vision for the retreat came to life. And then I had a very serendipitous conversation with um, a friend of mine who is also an entrepreneur. She's health and wellness, but she does some body work, energetic work, body work. And we had this amazing conversation and then co collaborated. So, my
Amazing.
piece of the vision and the overall vision for these retreats is to step outside your day to day, give yourself this big, beautiful container at a gorgeous location with a lot of downtime, a lot of community time, a lot of reflection time, and vision in that next level that you desire to live. And it's all
Mm,
about up leveling. Like if we're done with status quo, we want to make a shift. What does that next level look like? And for me, again, that's been a big part of my journey is leveling up. Not from a place of needing anything, but just desiring to continue to evolve. And so for those women that are desiring to continue to evolve, that's what we offer is this beautiful space to reconnect with who they are. Again, being true to themselves. What are those pieces that they have yet to express, or maybe they're expressing it but now they want to take it to a bigger level or experience it in a bigger or deeper way. It's a great incubator to get that clarity and then ignite it into
mm.
inspired action moving forward.
I love it. Like, there's a few things swirling around in my mind right now. One is, like, the geographical location, and for me, I know that that has an impact. Like, what's around me,
Mhm.
the environment, the setting. I love how you said the power of the pause. Like, we talk about pausing very often in our work, and I think, like, when you mention listening to the inside, it has to come with, like, a turn the switch off of everything else and just really get curious. Um, and then the community aspect, like there, I'm just really enjoying what you're saying. Is there, yeah, is there anything like, 'cause what's coming up for me is it's 2023, and part of what I wanted to even bring into this show is like, okay, there's a lot of listeners that maybe like, heck yeah, I'm gonna fly out and go see Christine, or go take your course, which that would be incredible for them. And then there's some that I'm wondering, like, even for the people listening that are just at home, like, what would you say for them would be like, how would you invite them into taking their power and creating their magnificent vision for 2023?
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple ways. If I can self-promote, I do have a book,
Do it. Do it.
and
Yes. What
yeah,
do you got?
and it's called Radiant Achievement. And so when I came out of this journey and I started living differently, I saw that I was engaging some inner powers that I had all along. And it's kind of like, Dorothy, like you had the power all along to get home. We have that power in us. So the book is really part educate or part my story, part practical applications. I'm very much that teacher at heart, and I want people to be able to implement and start to make changes. So it really helps you to reconnect with your inner worth, which is a key part of your journey. And then the next chapter is about inner listening, the power of inner listening, and how we can reconnect with that listening. So practical applications or practical exercises and calls to action in the book to help you reconnect. So that, I think it really starts with a little education because we need to learn something new, and then application. The book is a great source because it really goes front to back of the whole transformation that
Yeah.
I went through, and it gives the step by step of what I was learning and implementing that can help anybody who wants, and something's going to resonate, uh, that you need, that perfect nugget that you need.
I love that. And what's the name of the book again? Sorry, did I miss that?
It's
I,
called, yes, it's Radiant Achievement,
Radiant Achievement. Okay,
and the
so it's the
site
same as,
Radiant
okay,
Achievement. Yeah. Yep.
perfect. And can
And
they get that on your site, or is that on
yeah, there is,
Amazon?
they can, it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, I think most major online retailers. I do have a link to the
Awesome.
book from my website, but it just takes you to Amazon. So that's a really direct path. And this is what I love. You have a beautiful question in this, Ethan, because I recognize everyone's at a different place. So
Mhm.
wherever you are, listener, viewer, is perfect for you, there is a beautiful next step that you can take that will help you to more deeply align with who you authentically are, and then to let that next part of you be experienced and expressed. And from my
Mhm.
perspective, that is doing that is brings so much fulfillment and joy. To really experience who you innately are is such a fun thing.
Mm. I wonder, like, is there, so for our people at home, like they pick up the book, they read the book, and I'm sure there's some nuggets and they'll run after that. And I'm wondering, like, even just for this, like, listeners today, is there like a something that you would guide them into, just even like in the next day or week, to slow down and get curious and to set up for the year? Is there anything that comes up for you?
Absolutely. Well, I know you're going to give my Instagram handles later, but
Mhm.
the beginning of the year, this is, the beginning of January, I've just been doing some posts, and to kind of recap, part of what I've been saying is that take some time, make an appointment with yourself, walk away from the desk, grab a journal or some paper, and get curious. Like, what was I most grateful for from last year that I achieved, or that I did, or who I was being? And what might be something that I didn't quite nail or finish or pursue, that is still calling to me for this year. Ask yourself some questions, and do that assessment of last year, and like, what do you really enjoy, or what would bring you joy this year? What would you feel really excited about if at the end of the year you had achieved this one thing. Getting curiosity, write some notes, and then start to, dial in on what that maybe one or two things, and don't go, you don't have to go crazy, just start somewhere small. And then, I talk about how to create an intention, which is just a very powerful practice on how you can say, declare something that you want to have, do, or be, and you're stating it in the present tense. But when you write it down and then you get clarity on what that really looks like, and then you add some positive emotions to it, then you can really start to consistently spend time in that new vision that you've created for yourself. So I'll say two parts. First, start getting clarity around what would one or two things be this year that would just bring you so much joy to achieve, and then get really specific on what that would look like and how you would feel, and make those your focus areas as you start the year.
I love it. I love it. And you said be, do, and have too, which we talk about often here. And like I love, just if I may throw into that, is like, who am I committed to, or who would I need to become in order to achieve these things, or and then looking at like those qualities. And I love the be, do, have part. It's very powerful to think about, and just envision yourself being that person, right? Like how do I talk, walk,
Totally.
act? Who do I talk to? Where do I go? Yeah.
I do that too, and I know as I continue with the rest of what I'm posting this year on my social media, I will dive into that, because I am so resonating with what you say, and that is absolutely a key part. It's not about doing something to achieve that. It's you need to become somebody different, which allows you to take the actions to have that
Hmm.
thing manifest. So
It's
spot,
like
I
your
love it,
sword.
love
It's
it.
like your sword, putting your sword in, declaring. I want to know more about the sword too. I was thinking, should I ask
Yeah,
about that on this, or should I
yeah, go
wait? But
for
I'm
it.
like, what did she do
Yeah.
with the sword? What tell actually, yeah, let's
So
just go there.
here's
Let's go there. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go there. It's a fun story, and it's definitely a part for me that was like a huge like boost to me owning who I am. So I grew up, I will just say, loving muscles. My dad was a very muscular guy, and shortly after college, when I moved to Arizona, I the gym I went to had it was bodybuilder heaven. So I started lifting weights. And at one point, I was thinking, oh, I want to compete in bodybuilding, but it just wasn't the time, and it was too intense with how strict things were. So fast forward down the road, and I learned about something called figure competitions, and it's kind of like a cross between bodybuilding, and now they have these bikini competitions, which is like, so somewhere in the middle of, it's about being fit and muscular and lean, but it's not that crazy big muscles like bodybuilding is. I'll just kind of frame it that way.
Okay.
But it was speaking to me, and over the course of my adult life, I started, um, let's see, when was I, like between 40 and 50, I competed four times. And when I competed last, right after I turned 50, and I said, I'm going to take first place. And so the second time I competed, I not only took first place, but I took an overall trophy, and the overall trophy was the big sword.
Hey,
And every
hey,
time I look at that
bravo.
sword, thank you. I remind myself of how, it was such a full body yes to do this goal, and that's why I love connecting with people on what is calling to you, because sometimes those ideas, those callings are so strong, it is
Mhm.
literally a full body experience that we feel. Well, that's how it was for me with the to do the figure competition. And it's one of, like, five kind of times in my life that I will never forget, such a strong feeling that I just knew I was going to do it. There was not a doubt in my mind. And now
Mm.
I have that sword, and I use it every so often for my
That
stories.
that unwavering confidence there, that's got so much to do with what you've created. I make up, like, you knew it, and then when you went through the 2014 dilemmas or life occurrences, you put it
Yeah.
down and then you knew it again. There's something about that
Yes.
declaration and that knowing, right? That's like so powerful. It's like God's like, all right, here we go. We're they're
Yeah,
ready.
well, and we actually do this, little spoiler alert. We've done this in our retreat where the women, they get to this place of clarity on what it is, and that and specifically who is that new version of them that they are
Mm,
committing to stepping into, going back to what we were just talking about. And we go to the beach, and we don't have the sword with us, but we, because we're, international, I'm not traveling with it, but
yeah.
we find a big stick, and they can either do the stake in the ground or draw the line in the sand. And it's
Mhm.
fun because, at first we would draw the line in the sand. I've done both. And then they just jump over to the other side, and they leave the past behind them. And now it's like I'm moving
So
forward, and
powerful.
it's such a fun, oh, so powerful to see them
Yeah,
experience that.
it's like, to me, like, even I'm envisioning that happening when you're saying it and seeing the women with the sticks, and I'm like, answers like just like I'm feeling like, wow, now answers will begin coming to the people that participate at that high of a level that are all in. Like the world, the universe starts to just
Yeah.
manifest, right? Then now that's like the readiness. Yeah. Talk to
Yes,
me about it. I can
it's
see
so
your
true.
energy. I can feel it.
Yeah, no. Well, it's interesting. There's so many stories, but one in particular jumps out. There was a gal that attended. There was a 1-day retreat that we did ahead of the big week-long retreat, and just from that 1-day retreat and the things that started, that loosened up for her, and she released, she started having big things come to her. And so by the
Mhm,
time she got to the retreat, she was already on that new trajectory, or run on that new freeway, so to speak. She's already had leveled up. And then it was just expansion from there. So just taking the 1 day, it's fascinating. When, like you said, when we're ready, it
mhm.
doesn't require a lot of effort. It's almost that we have to just surrender into it versus, trying to make it happen.
I love that word, surrender into it. It's also giving up the old you to become this new you. And that's the sticky part that I've felt like we in and I think as humans we all know or have an idea, at least if we slow down, who we would love to be, but then there's that tension. There's the tension of being willing to go to that, and then there's the tension of being willing to let go of what has been too. That's
Yes.
powerful.
And
Yeah.
the longer we've been in those old patterns, I don't want to say, yeah, I don't even want to say that, because that's maybe setting a framework that's not even true. You're right. And I think that part of that, so what helps us bridge that is to be really conscious and say, and
Mhm.
I've been doing this to myself a lot lately. Because one of the things I'm stepping into, just a little thing to share, for me,
Yeah.
is I truly want to, I'm feeling this big calling to share nuggets, not just on
Mhm.
podcasts, but on TV. And so I've
Ooh.
been submitting pitches to my local news stations. And let me tell you how I have come face to face with the old me in the who do you think you are to want to be on TV. And I just say, thank you very much. That's not me anymore. I'm bringing my value. I have great stories and things to share, and I don't give, other than it coming up, I let the thought flow out. But it pops up. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, it
That's where
pops
the
up.
vision is so powerful too. I feel like that, in coaching, if there's people that we're gonna get, I think, as humans, tempted to go back to where we were, or there'll be that natural pull if we don't stay aligned and committed to who we're becoming. And that's where the vision is so powerful because it just pulls you. It's like that's your guide, your North Star. Like that's it. And
Yes,
eventually it gets easier. I'm sure after you're on 5 news stations, Christine, you're going to be rocking it like it's a Tuesday. I'm sure it'll be no
I
problem.
agree. I agree. It's that first time it will, and I think part of this too, and what I love. when I am working with my clients and even the women at the retreats, it's that first step. It's we need almost so much rocket fuel, right, to get off
Mhm.
that ground the first time. But once we
Mhm.
do, we have to keep that focus. The like you said, stay connected to the vision and keep that just tight container so we can launch. Yeah.
I love it. What's your favorite part about what you get to do?
Seeing, hearing their wins, hearing their celebrations. That's something I do in every coaching session. Is what do you want to celebrate? And it's almost always about who they have become since our last
Mhm.
session, and it fuels me to keep moving forward myself.
I love it. I love it. What's your the work that you're doing right now, 2023, what's your big plans for 2023? I know you mentioned you're up with the news stations, you're doing this new TV deal, and then there you still have your
Yes.
work with the Radiant work. So tell me about what's 2023 got for you, or for the people
Yeah,
too.
2023 is sure. It's going to be a combination. Again, it's like taking my time to reflect and what's true to me. How do I like to work? What's most meaningful to me? And number one, it's going to be continuing with retreats. There's a Spain retreat in works as we speak for the fall. So that's something I'm looking forward to, as well as some smaller retreats. And then one-on-one coaching. I like to have a handful of clients at any one time that really are kind of, whether they went to the retreat or not, it's that deep dive transformation that they're they're coming through that tunnel, so to speak. And that I love working one on one with the clients. And then continuing with the media. I did have a podcast or a YouTube show 2 years ago, and I put it on hold last year with all the new retreat things happening and a format change I was considering. So I do want to relaunch it because I do love doing interviews and bringing engaging, inspiring, actionable content to people. So that is something for this year also.
Awesome. What part of Spain?
Malaga or Malaga? I think you say Malaga is how
Lago.
I'm pretty sure how you
Okay.
pronounce it.
I visited there for
Yeah,
the first
it's
time
coastal.
last year, so I was in Barcelona and I loved it. So I was curious at where at out there at that
Amazing.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what
Barcelona was an option, but we want to be close to the water. So more of a water experience.
I love it. I love it. And then now, since we're coming up on landing the plane, this was amazing too. Thank you so much, Christine. Where can we find you? I know you mentioned your book. Give us a rundown of where people can get access to this information
Sure.
and
Absolutely. So my website is christinemariehoward.com, and Christine is CHRISTINE. And then my Instagram is Christine Marie Howard with an underscore after it. If you're on Facebook, it's Christine Marie Howard, and the same with LinkedIn, Christine Marie Howard. And I love connecting with people. Any one of those platforms, I am definitely excited and committed to build some great relationships with people that are inspired to continue to, number one, be true to themselves, and then put those new inspired ideas into action.
yay, true you. Be true to yourself, people. 2023 is the year. You're not quite off the hook yet. We always end it with
Okay.
a powerful message or whatever's speaking to you to share to leave the True You audience with.
Yeah. I want you to know you are truly a divine being who is here to experience the fullness of who they are. And you are enough. You are worthy. You are lovable. You are love. And to take the time to really get to know yourself and honor what it is that's speaking to you, bring it to life. It is for your fulfillment, and it will make a positive ripple in this beautiful world. we live in.
So good. We are already great. We're already divine. It's in there. Just pull it out. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Christine, for joining us. It was wonderful getting to hear your story and getting to learn more about what you're up to, giving to the world. And please, listeners, go and check out Christine's work. I'm sure there's a ton of value, and I hope that everybody has a very, very abundant 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.